Should be rolling. Oh, I still have to check. That's just the damn truth of it. Alright. It is rolling. The room's ugly. It's not composed right. You're not looking through the camera. I can't tell. I switched over here today to the Intendor show for the Intendor show. We're gonna my radio show because I'm usually either too ugly or something is wrong. I started using a better camera more all the time. I look at the lens, but my head's down. You know, I can't find exactly the right distance. But now I have to refer back to as being a Democrat, a transcendent Democrat, which is my invention. The Intendor dollar is my invention. If Gephardt or Hillary knew anything about it, they ain't saying. I think they're afraid that China might get rich because they got so many people. The Intendor dollar gives labor leverage because it's based on human capital. The labor taking ownership of itself, human capital. Even the British just did a study a little while ago. They did a study a few years ago showing the worth of human capital. You know, insurance is really basically, once you go into business, you discover you can't do a real business without insurance. You have to have insurance, or you're not a real business. I can almost say now you're not a real country if you don't have insurance for your citizens. But human capital was important to the daggone Confederacy, wasn't it? That's what they were using for their wealth, human lives. Deeds and mortgages on human lives, and they inflated the value too. Now that's not good. Because they wouldn't let them learn to read, would they? You're more valuable if you can read and write and operate tools. Early on in my life, I wrote that little book. I was writing these little books. Tools, Jewels, and Land was an early one. It's lost. I don't know where it is. I can't remember what happened to some of my things. Other things I remember where they were missed. Everything I owned was robbed from me. Everything of common value was robbed from me in the trailer. I was living under the flight path. If I was living under the flight path in a condemned area. It was condemned because jets had come apart over it and dropped their blades and turbines like flechettes. But that's where I live. Poverty means you live with risk. It's either the cops are after you for something, some crime of poverty, or it's criminals. That's why what the living wage means. If you can get enough wage, you can get out of poverty. And you're not subject to so much risk. I'm on Twitter. Mass incarceration doesn't work. Let's build communities that give kids a shot at success and prisons that prepare people for a second chance. You stop the damn drug war, you got 30% of your people, not being criminals. You've created a victimless crime. The only victims are the victims of the police. Although it was true. It is true. I don't know about narcotics. When I was in Rochdale College, and security in Rochdale, destroyed by its own corruption, the corruption of its security force, in particular, cocaine, every now and then, maybe, I probably did it maybe 20 times in my life. I didn't want to get addicted. I couldn't afford that kind of addiction. And then everybody I know thinks they're, gets to this point where they think that they're God. And nobody can hurt them. And their brain, hardwire goes to hell. Marijuana products, THC, hash oil. They're best. They're the best. Hard stuff, hard stuff for me was LSD. You don't get addicted to LSD. You don't get there's no addiction for that, but it can get rough. If you're not, in the right place, set and setting, they weren't kidding. People did it. That was my generation. We're all criminals. We're all, dissidents. We didn't want the war to go on. They fixed us. They gave us an all-volunteer army and let us all go. Let everybody go. So then they just set these all volunteers to any war they wanted. It's stupid. Okay, Pluto just had its first visitor thanks to NASA. It's a great day for discovery and American leadership. Well, it is. That's the kind of thing we want to encourage. We want to be able to get anybody in the world within 4 hours. People can go further, faster, win. That's the key to military successes. Long pike, 15-foot pike, and the Swiss won. Vatican hired them. They didn't have much resource. Some people say the only thing that they ever invented was a cuckoo clock. They invented a longer pike, stuck it through people and horses. I forget exactly how they use that in battle. Horses, coming at you, you had to have pikemen to hold them off on the ground. War. It's good for technology. Machiavelli pegged it and he said, a struggle with the environment is not enough to create a nation. You better start getting it together, thinking about it, as far as we are always at war with the environment. Weather is enough to bother the working man. It really sets him back. War is an extra he doesn't deserve. Nuclear war, weapons of mass destruction. The working man does not deserve that. Tell the president. Economic war leads to sanctions. The United States is at its apogee power because of the status of its currency as a reserve currency. The EU was trying for it and got higher there. Something went wrong with the EU. And the currency is shown to be severely flawed. It's not the United States of Europe. Let's see. Down here, people, America's home to 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's prisoners. Like I said, in the war on drugs, war to make hate, and I estimate about 30% of your police wouldn't have anything to do. They'd have to find crime to worry about. It's easy to steal from hippies, I'm a hippie with a gun. Cat's out of the bag. Well, that's a show from President's Twitter account. What's mine say? Who's on mine? I got 412 followers today. I got Bernie Smith at the top. Progressive Mind. Here's Reich. He's good for something. Many believe that poor people deserve to be poor because they're lazy. Well, some do. I'm sorry. So they pick those out. Most of us are poor because we just don't get paid enough. Because we don't know how to negotiate. We don't unite. In reality, most of the nation's poor people work full time, sometimes 60 or more hours a week, yet still can't feed their families. You can't live on $12.50 an hour, $15 an hour, $10 an hour, $8.25 an hour. You can't live on that. The job you have is the job you have. Nobody's working, honest working people don't deserve that kind of treatment, and the government's got to protect them because they let the unions be destroyed because they were afraid of their violence. And it's all about, private property. Who owns the source of capital? That kind of thing. It's what happened to my feed here? Oh, let's see. I made something big. Okay, it's also commonly believed that the rich deserve their wealth because they work harder than others. In reality, most of the super rich have never broken a sweat. Their wealth has been handed to them. Well, Pinckney says right there, the key to wealth is inheritance. And sure, a dollar works because it creates an inheritance. It doesn't take it away from you. As communism did, as it gave to the elites. And then the elites, when they decided to give it up, it was too much. They let their friends loot the daggone country. Apparently. I mean, it sure does seem like that. If it was in your hand, it was yours. You sold it or grabbed more of it. Dad makes his daughter a Ms. Marvel costume after he couldn't find one anywhere else. Well, it's probably copyrighted. You're not supposed to do that. Intellectual property is an important issue with creative artists like myself. I don't believe I should just give everything away. I get put to the point where I'd end up doing it that way, otherwise nobody gets it. I got something to say. I feel like it's worth saying, but I'm not the only one. The Oxford English Dictionary adds to shizzle, twerk, floatus, and more. Well, a wonderful, wonderful, attractive picture of Miley Cyrus, who's normally not very attractive to me. I did think it was good of Bill Murray to defend her. Youth. I mean, just go on, live it. You ain't gonna have it long. 20 years go by in the blink of an eye. That's why older experienced people like myself need to help you and help the people around you. I believe, like Larry McMurtry seemed to indicate, that the only thing we know best to do is help our friends. That's all we really know is a worthwhile thing to do. Unfortunately, some of us have to deal with some very well-off people who aren't our friends. Anybody that signed Norquist Nation pledge is not a friend of mine. Anybody try to shut down the Union, shut down the government that the Union soldiers fought to preserve, they're not friends of ours. You live in the United States. You're a citizen of the United States. You deserve good treatment.